The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Waking humanity, one soul at a time. This is the World You Don't Know radio show with your host, Nick O'Connell.
Now, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're very welcome along to this week's edition of The World You Don't Know. I do have a guest lined up now. I'm going to try and get him on Skype now in a couple of minutes. I've got Trevor Eivers coming on. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Open Minds conference that's taking place this weekend, actually, in Dooley's Hotel in Waterford. Now, as you will know, if you're a regular listener to the show, I have been interviewing some of the guest speakers who are going to be speaking at this conference. I've been interviewing them over the last 3-4 months there or thereabouts. Now, I haven't interviewed them all. I've interviewed a few of them. Now, there's a lot of speakers going to be appearing at this conference. There's probably around 12 to 15 speakers in total. Some very well-known international speakers like Ian O'Crane, Mark Devlin. He's going to be there talking about the music industry and what goes on behind the scenes in the music industry, the dark side of the music industry. Ian O'Crane is a former oil executive. Now, I've interviewed him on the show. He's very well tuned into what the New World Order are up to and what's going on geopolitically, so to speak. And he's going to be at this event. And he's a good speaker. Anytime he speaks at any events, Ian Crane, he tends to pack them out. Ben Gilroy, who's been a past guest on this show, he's going to be speaking there talking about what's going on with the banks in this country and what you can do if you find yourself in difficulty with your mortgage and stuff like that. And it's a very interesting conference, this. It's the first of its kind, I think, to take place in this country. Now, don't get me wrong, Ian O'Crane has been in this country speaking at smaller events where there's probably only 1 or 2 speakers. David Icke, as you know, he was here last month on the 25th of January. And he spoke in the Helix to a packed house. Now, I think there was upwards to maybe 900 to 1,000 people at that event. But it was a complete sellout as well. And he was charging something like 60, 70 euro a ticket or something like that, I'm not sure. But it was a sellout. I mean, these events are getting very, very popular now. People are starting to wake up to what's going on with corruption. I mean, you have, in this country, for example, you've got the Anti-Corruption Task Force, which has sprung up over the last couple of years, headed up by Joe Dooley. And I've been looking at a few of Joe's videos, and he highlights serious corruption within the Gardaí, within the judicial system. And he seems to be making a lot of headway in that respect. He's paying for it all right with a lot of hassle from the state, but he's exposing them. And you just have to look at what's going on now with the government. They're running now like cornered rats trying to save themselves. I mean, they had a vote of no confidence in the government last week, which they won, only because the rats on the other side, Fianna Fáil, decided not to get involved in the vote, which they should have. I mean, they're in the opposition. They were trying to get Fine Gael out, is what you think they would do, but they didn't. Instead, they just decided to stay out of the vote, thus allowing Fine Gael to survive again. But I'm actually trying to get Trevor on here, and I'm having serious trouble getting him in. If he is listening in, Trevor, you're actually appearing offline. I think you need to appear online to take a call from me, so you could do that. That'd be great. I will try and get my guest on the next couple of minutes, folks. As I said, Trevor's going to be coming on to talk about the Open Minds event that's taking place this weekend in Dooley's Hotel down in Waterford. Now, as I said, it's going to be a very, very interesting event. It's the first of its kind at this size to be taking place. Now, last week I had a great guest on. I had Geroid O'Coleman on, and he was very informative about what's going on in Burma, now known as Myanmar, formerly Burma. And you would have heard about Burma over the years. It was living under a military dictatorship for well over 20 years at least, and it's sort of now is sort of slipping into democracy, if you could call it that. But there's a lot of problems going on in that country. There's a lot of misinformation coming out of that country in relation to what's going on in Myanmar, and it was stuff I wasn't aware of. But it was very interesting last week to talk to Geroid about what's going on in Myanmar, and you know, he certainly opened my mind about what's actually going on. But he's going to be speaking at this event, and he's quite, for an Irish guy, he's quite well known on the international speaking circuit, and he's well known on a few TV channels, like Al Jazeera. He's appeared on that. He's appeared on Iranian television as well, Press TV, giving his take on the political situation in the Middle East, and he's quite an authority on it. He's going to be speaking at this event, so that'd be an interesting hour to listen to what he says. Judith Very Baker is another woman that's going to be appearing at this event. She is the ex-girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald, and she's going to be, as far as I know anyway, I did try and get her on. I was planning to get her onto the show prior to the event, but it didn't work out that way. Hopefully I'll get her on after the event. Now, I'll work on that over the next few weeks, because it'll be a very interesting interview. She is the ex-girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald, and as you would have heard me on this show over many, many years of doing this show, I mean, funnily enough, the first show I ever did on Liffey Sound on my own was about the JFK assassination. That's what I started it out as. And as you know, it's supposed to be a show about conspiracy theories, but it sort of delves off into other subjects as well. It's not all about conspiracy, but ideally that's what I'd normally cover is, you know, the latest conspiracy theories. And as I said, the first one I ever spoke about was the JFK assassination and all the shenanigans that went on with that. I mean, obviously the official version of events was Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone wolf gunman, and he took 3 shots at John F. Kennedy, killing him and injuring John Connolly in the limousine as well, in front of him, and hitting John Connolly's wife for a bullet as well, I think. But history tells us that, you know, a completely different set of events would have transpired in that day, and it wasn't as the mainstream media or the official version of events gave testament to. History has told us that there was indeed a conspiracy to kill John F. Kennedy, and Lee Harvey Oswald was just a patsy. You know, he even said it himself live on television, I'm just a patsy, before Jack Ruby shot him in the basement of a police station. I mean, come on, you know, how much more of a conspiracy do you want? But anyway, Judith Fairley Baker, as I said, she's the ex-girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald. And Lee Harvey Oswald was married to a woman called Marina Oswald, but he went out with this lady probably in their early 20s. They would have only been kids. And she's going to be speaking at this event. Now, Judith, as far as I know, is well into her 70s. As far as I know now, she could be a little older, I'm not sure. Always true to ask a lady her age. But she's going to be speaking at this event, and she has some, I've seen a couple of her videos online, she's got some very, very telling and revealing information about who Lee Harvey Oswald was, who he was connected to, and, you know, what else could have gone on in and around the JFK assassination. That's another interesting guest that's going to be speaking. Another past guest of mine that I've had on my show, Hilary Connor, she's going to be speaking at this event, and she's going to be dealing with the spiritual side of things. Yeah, and she was a great guest. I had her on my show. She was very well spoken. We had a good chat about spiritualism and about, you know, consciousness and, you know, people's place in the world and stuff like that. She's going to be speaking at this event, so that should be good. I'm going to try and dial Trevor in again now on Skype. For some reason, the call just keeps crashing. I don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do, and I don't even have my phone with me. I actually left my phone somewhere on the way up here. So you're just going to be stuck with me for the next few minutes until I can get Trevor on. I don't know what's going on here with Skype. Usually it works, but maybe the powers that be are interfering in the call. No, it's still not working. I'm going to keep trying until it does. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. Skype is usually very, very reliable, but this time it's not. Maybe it's because I'm not. I'm just going to have a look here now. Let me see. No, my status is invisible, so this could be something to do with me. So give me a second, folks, and I will endeavour to call in Trevor. Just give me a minute. Yeah, this might work now, folks, so just bear with me for a second. If it does work, good, we're going to have a chat with Trevor. No, still hasn't worked. That's modern technology for you, folks. I can't get Skype to work for some reason. But what I'll do is I'll actually go to a song. I'll try and queue up a song, and I'll do my best then to get Skype working again if I can. So if you just bear with me just for a second, and I will find a song. Where's my little folder here? No, can't find my folder. Oh, there it is there. Yeah, now that's what I'll do is I'll play a song. Give us a second here now. Is there any songs there? No, can't find a song. I'll get something up on YouTube now in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this event on Saturday, because it's well worth. And by the way, there are still tickets available. You can go on to the Facebook page, Awaken Aware in South East Ireland, and through that page then you will find a link then to the ticket sales agency. I think it's Eventbrite are selling the tickets, and they're very good value, the tickets, and I think Dooley's Hotel are doing a special rate as well for anyone that's going to be attending the event. And as far as I know, there was a couple of hundred tickets for sale. I think a little over half of them are probably gone, so you've just got about four days. I mean, you could turn up in the day and still get in, I'd imagine, if you were willing to travel down to Waterford and purchase the tickets. You could get a bus down to Waterford quite cheap. Unfortunately, this Skype thing is not working for some reason. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to go to YouTube, and that's what I'll get a song up on YouTube. And while that's playing, I will see what I can do about Skype. But usually Skype works for me. I don't know what the problem is with it this time around. Unfortunately, I don't have a backup number to give Trevor a shout on. But just bear with me for a minute, folks, and we'll see if we sort something out here. I agree. Things I have to do to get onto YouTube is ridiculous. Anyway, this event is taking place on Saturday, folks, and this is what I wanted to get Trevor on tonight to talk about, just to plug the event one last time before the event starts. So what I'll do is I'm going to play a little bit of Ed Sheeran. I haven't played him, and I've never played Ed Sheeran actually, so I'm going to play him now. I'm not a big fan of Ed Sheeran, to be honest with you, but his first video that popped up on YouTube, so here we go, folks. Here's a little bit of Ed Sheeran, and I shall talk to you in a couple of minutes.
You're listening to Liffey Sound on 96.4 FM.
Now, folks, you're very welcome back. I've been speaking to Trevor via Skype through private messages, and it turns out his Skype decided at this particular moment in time to upgrade itself, and Skype does that. That's the thing about modern technology. You know, it's artificial intelligence gone mad, folks, and that was the problem. Anyway, I've got 2 Skype signed in, so I need to sign out one, because if I call him, it's going to come out in the same fader. So if you just bear with me for a second, and I'll sign out that one. That's gone. And what I'll do is I'll ring Trevor now on this one, and hopefully he'll answer, and we'll have a chat, because he can tell you a bit more about this conference than I can. All I can do is tell you how good it's going to be, but he's going to tell you how great it's going to be. So, and as I said, I'm trying to ring him now, and it is ringing, so we'll just have to wait for a couple of seconds and see what happens. Hopefully he will answer, and once he does, we can have a chat. But there's lots going on. I mean, it's not just the conference I'm going to talk to Trevor about. If we do manage to get him on, there is plenty of other things that are going on that I'd like to have a chat with him about. And this thing is driving me up the wall, to be honest with you, this Skype. I've had problems with it before in the past, but usually it's my fault. But this time it's completely out of my hands. And unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do about it now. It is trying to call him, but unfortunately, it's not working. But if Trevor's listening in, maybe you could try and call me, and I can answer then, you know, and we'll see what happens then. But for some reason, it just doesn't want to work, and I don't know why. So if you could call me, Trevor, if you are listening, I'll actually send him a message and ask him, can he call me, and see what happens. So I've sent him a message. Hopefully, if he starts to call me, I'll be able to answer. Now, he is calling me now, so I'm going to answer. Let me see now, is the clock moving? Now, the clock is moving, so that tells me that Trevor is on. So I'm going to go straight to Trevor. Good evening, Trevor.
Hello, Mick. Can you hear me?
I can indeed, yes. Thanks very much for calling me there. I appreciate that. This is the thing about Skype, Trevor. Unfortunately, you're subject to the wonders of modern technology. It doesn't always work the way you planned.
Oh, man. It decided to upgrade itself there this evening and asked me to change the password and everything else. So apologies about that.
No. Like I said, I explained to the listeners, it's modern technology, and these things do happen. And it is what it is. And the way I look at it, everything happens for a reason. So maybe you weren't meant to be on for the last few minutes. Maybe people needed to listen to me prattling on. That way they can appreciate you a little bit more when they don't have to listen to me. So Trevor, I was explaining to the listeners that the big event, the one that you've been working so hard and so diligently for the last few months, takes place this Saturday. You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, but can't wait. It's 99.9% organised now, and it's just a matter of a couple of days. And us as a team are very excited and bring it on now.
And what has there been like tons of interest? Like, what do you say to people? Now, you did ask me earlier on to ask you a couple of hard questions, and I'm going to. And I haven't got my phone here with me, so I'd imagine they're on Facebook, because I think it was Facebook you sent me the message. I could probably go and have a look now in a second. Yeah. But you did say earlier on, like, but what do you say to people who says, "Oh, well, listen, Trevor, all you're doing is preaching to the converted," you know? You know, what do you tell people like that?
Yeah, I suppose, like, my answer would be that it's a dilemma that we all face in the alternative media. But all we can do is do our best. And like, we had a day in the street there Saturday week ago, and we spent a couple of hours in Waterford Shopping Centre handing out a couple of hundred leaflets and talking to people, talking to Joe Public coming along doing their shopping and trying to get the message out about the conference. And I suppose that's all you can do. And I think
And what was the interest like on the street from what I will call Joe Soap?
Yeah. Like, we're trying to it was good, relatively good. I mean, obviously, you know, people going, there was a large percentage of people kind of in a trance, in a shopping trance and so on, and it's hard to get to them, you know, there's no saying otherwise. But like we had, you know, a dozen people that we struck up interesting conversations with, and we're kind of curious.
Right, now you did ask me to ask, I found the questions that you asked me to ask you. For example, one question you asked, what do you say to people who are complaining about the prices of the tickets? Now, I did mention earlier on that David Icke appeared here last month to a sold-out house in the Helix, and he was selling tickets for upwards to 50 to 70 euros, depending on what part of the Helix we're going to be sitting in. And the thing about David Icke, don't get me wrong, he's a great orator, he's a great world-renowned speaker, he's very well known on the international speaking circuit. Now, for some reason I've lost Trevor there, but I'm going to carry on talking. As I was saying, David Icke is well known on the international speaking circuit, and he's one man. This event that's coming up here on this Saturday now is several people. There's going to be quite a lot of people who are speaking at this event. You're back with me, Trevor, you are?
Yeah.
Right, I don't know. I was just saying there that David Icke, even though he was charging what he was charging for his tickets, he's one man. The event you are organising this weekend, there's how many speakers in total are speaking at it?
Yeah, you have 12 speakers, 6 on the Saturday and 6 on the Sunday. You've also music at it. You have Tom Milan, who's a fantastic acoustic guitar player. Now, he'll be singing songs of freedom, you know, songs like Times Are A-Changing and Blowing in the Wind, and it's going to be fantastic. And we've also another band, Water's Edge, that are going to be played from 7:30 to 8:30.
Yeah, and that's on Saturday, is it? Hello?
Saturday as well.
Right, you keep cutting out there, Trevor, for some reason. I think there's somebody probably interfering with our ability to talk to each other. Someone doesn't want us talking.
Yeah, possibly.
So listen, I can hear you loud and clear now. I can hear you loud and clear. We'll go through some of the speakers who are going to be speaking and who they are and what they're going to bring to the table. Now, we can start with Ian O'Crine. What's he bringing to the table?
Yeah, well, Ian is very well known. Like, he's very outspoken on issues such as geopolitics, fracking, the bigger agenda that's being pushed in the world at the minute. And again, knows the ins and outs of that, and is a fantastic speaker. And he's done many talks in Ireland as well. Like, he's been here a couple of times, and he's spoke to full houses over here as well. So Ian is possibly, out of the 12, I suppose, the most well known. And you know, he's a fantastic man. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge, and look, we're lucky to have him.
And what do you say to anyone who, because I mean, I've seen some disparaging comments online about some of the speakers that are going to be attending, now Ian in particular, and people who are saying like, he's a gatekeeper, he's like David Icke. You know, people calling David Icke a gatekeeper. Now, I don't know if they are or not. I mean, and it's immaterial to me if they are. Personally, I don't believe that they are, to be honest. But what do you say to anyone who does say that, you know?
Well, my answer would be that, like, personally, I always look at the information rather than the person who's delivering it. So in other words, like the old saying, like, play the ball and not the man. And like with all these speakers, you know, you have a lot of conscious knowledge there being delivered. And basically, I mean, we're not asking everyone to agree with everything every speaker says. Hence the title of the conference, Open Minds. Yeah, hence the title of the conference. It's not about everyone agreeing with each other and patting each other on the back. But like, what we're asking is for people to be respectful of the speaker and of the information being provided, and at least entertain, you know, the subject that they're talking about. And obviously, you know, it's just you're not going to please everyone, but like, you're going to have people that are into some subjects more than others, in that kind of way. Some people are more into the political type stuff, okay, not so much the spiritual stuff, and some people are into the spiritual stuff and not so much into the political stuff. Yeah, now one of the speakers that you have there now is, and someone I've spoken to on my show,
plenty of times, and someone I've met a few times, and someone I have the utmost respect for is Ben Gilroy. Now, what he's talking about is very, very real solutions that people can actually employ if they're in trouble with their mortgages. So, I mean, but what he's going to be talking about is very, very pertinent.
Yeah. I mean, you go a long way to get like Ben Gilroy and then followed up by Ian O'Crane after him on a Saturday afternoon, you know. Like, that is like fantastic information. Like, Ben talks about, of course, the broken political system. He'd be talking about the corruption in the courts, the fantastic work Ben does in the courts himself. Most of it, his spare time that he, dedicates to helping litigants and people that are in threat of their losing their home and stuff like that, you know. So you'd be talking a little bit about evictions as well. So that's Ben. Like, he'd be covering a lot of those topics, and like for a Saturday afternoon, like you have Ben, followed up by Ian O'Crane. I think that'd be of big interest to people to. Like, I mean,
Ben's video, Ben's got a video that's been up on YouTube the last maybe 2 or 3 years called The Constitution Halts the Sheriff. And you can go onto YouTube, folks, it's up there, The Constitution Halts the Sheriff. This video has had nearly 750,000 views.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing video. I mean, that's Ben in top form, and he's an inspiring man to be around. I mean, look, I know Ben as a friend, and I've seen many a lecture that he's given in a seminar down here in the southeast as well, in Carrick, and you always come away with something new. You always learn something from him. Now,
I've never been to any of. I went to one thing that Ben done up in, I think it was the Red Cow here in Dublin, and I briefly got to speak to him at the end of it, just for 2 minutes. We exchanged numbers, and I got him on the show not long after that. But to me, he wasn't preaching to the converted. I already had a fair idea of, a lot of the subject matter that he would have been talking about. Have you ever been at any of these events, and there's been someone there who's never heard any of this stuff before and have had the hairs on the back of their neck stood up, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's people waking up to this information all the time. And, we'd like to think that there's going to be people coming along, people that are aware, obviously, of the information, but maybe bringing a friend along and getting themselves informed of the topics that Ben is talking about, and Crane and all the other speakers.
Because I think everything that they're talking about, when you look at the grand scheme of things, like whether it's Ben talking about the banks and the corruption that goes on there within the court system and stuff like that in relation to evictions, or whether it's Mark Devlin talking about the corruption that's going on in the music industry, everything, it all ties in. It's all part of one big mess, but it's all connected nevertheless. Like, each part has its part to play.
That's right. The whole team, an idea behind the conference was to bring all these speakers together, looking at bigger picture ideas, like bringing a piece of the jigsaw to the table and looking at different parts of the bigger picture, if you get me, and putting them all together. And of course, it's...
Like, for the Joe on the street, he'll say to you, but look, someone getting evicted in Leitrim for, getting into trouble with the mortgage has nothing got whatsoever to do with what the New World Order are up to. But what they don't realise is it's because of what the New World Order are up to that poor person in Leitrim is getting evicted from their home in the first place.
Yeah. Look, I think the very fact that this conference is happening is going to create waves, and it'll have a ripple effect and a knock-on effect, and just by the whole experience and the energy that it's going to bring. I personally, myself and the group, we stayed away from the mainstream media, even the local mainstream media here in Waterford, in terms of, we did send them a notice about the Open Minds Conference the weekend, and we didn't get any response at all. We even offered the different papers free passes into the event, and they didn't get back to us. So there's only so much you can do. But our strategy all along was to focus on mostly social media and through shows like your own, Mick, and so on. I mean, we've done a day in the street.
How did that go for you, if I can ask?
Yeah. You might have seen there's a video there of it.
I've seen the video already. The video doesn't really tell me that much now, but I mean, you were obviously talking to lots of different people on the day, and you were asking like, "What's going on here, lads?" And you'd go into explanation mode then, and like try and enlighten people about what's actually going on. Did you have were people, reciprocal of the information? Were they, accepting of it, or did you just look at you and say, "Listen, you need a tinfoil hat and you need to sort your life out"?
There was a few aboard, but for the majority was just people would just walk by and they might take a flyer off us. But I suppose the 70 or 80% would just walk by, in the middle of Waterford and in a busy shopping centre on a Saturday afternoon,
So you think for most of the general public, when they see an event like this being staged, they sort of think of it as some sort of a new agey thing, that they wouldn't even be interested in?
Yeah, I think a few people were quite surprised when it stopped. Initially, we all have a different perception of something. Like initially, when we see something, it triggers something in us. And I think some of the people that stopped and asked a few questions, they were very curious, and they were more informed then, kind of going away as to what it was all about, kind of thing, overall, like we stayed there for a couple of hours. We handed out a couple of 100 flyers, and we got talking to maybe a dozen people, I suppose, overall in the couple of hours. But it was a worthwhile exercise because, you have to try and reach everyone. Like, we wanted to reach everyone, but we didn't really want to do that going through kind of the mainstream media.
And did you get any hassle off the local gendarmerie? Wondering why you were there?
No, in fact, funnily enough, initially when we set out, we were kind of thinking that would be the case, but it actually turned out where, it was, if anything, we'd gotten hassle from, say, alternative media types, rather than mainstream media. The mainstream media types, we did get a few comments, all right, on the Facebook page, kind of "this is nuts" or whatever, but that was to be expected, but relatively few. And overall, it was, great that, eventually everyone supported and had an interest in it. So that was great.
Now, another one of your guests that you have coming up, we'll have to go to a set of ads in a couple of minutes, but another guest I want you to briefly talk about, and what she may or may not be talking about when she's at this conference, is Judith Feary-Baker. Now, I was planning on hoping to get her on before the conference, but that's obviously not going to happen now. And I will endeavour to get her on in a future show. What's she bringing to the table? What's her connection to Lee Harvey Oswald, and what is her story?
Okay. Well, if anyone's interested, we're actually running a feature series on our Facebook page over the last couple of days, where each day we highlight two different speakers that will be at the conference and go into in quite a lot of detail as to what they'll be talking about and their subject area. But in terms of Judith Baker, she is I do call her a walking time machine, because she, believe it or not, was a mistress with Lee Harvey Oswald. But her story starts even before that. I mean, she met Lee Harvey Oswald because she was basically a brilliant mind, and she was an award-winning student, and she was handpicked from thousands of students to get involved in cancer research. Little did she know that some of the research that she was doing was actually aimed at coming up with a concoction to kill Fidel Castro.
So it was a weapon they were trying to develop?
That's right, a secret weapon, a bioweapon.
Now, funny you should say that, because I remember, and for anyone out there who thinks that's just codswallop, that would never happen. I mean, look what happened to King Jong-un's half-brother there in Malaysia the other day. He was poisoned, apparently, anyway, if you want to believe that story. But, what's his name? The former president of Venezuela, he died now, Hugo Chavez.
Yeah.
Now, he came on live television in his own country and told the nation that he has cancer, and that the Americans gave him cancer, i.e. weaponized cancer. And, he's got no reason to come out and say something as outrageous as that, unless it's probably true.
That's right. Well, see, Judith has a lot of evidence to back up what you're saying. The unbelievable thing about Judith is that she met Lee Harvey Oswald through these covert operations that she was involved in. And she actually backed down. In fact, she was fired from it when she complained, when she realised that some of these bioweapons were being used and tested on live subjects, in other words, human beings in hospitals and stuff like that. And so she was fired, and that ended her relationship with Lee Oswald. But the amazing thing about it was that 2 days before JFK was assassinated, Lee Harvey Oswald rang her from Dallas and told her that he was trying to save the president's life, not kill him.
That he knew there was a plot to kill him.
And there was a plot to kill him, and he was trying to stop it. And he gave a lot of names, such as, I think it was a CIA person, his name was David Atlee Phillips, whom a lot of other research have pointed the finger at as well. And she watched then a couple of days later in horror when not only JFK was shot, but all of a sudden Lee was the patsy, and 2 days later
he was assassinated to shut him up.
Jack Ruby shot him. And then she got a phone call from a friend that she met through Lee Harvey Oswald called David Furry. You probably mentioned, or you probably know of David Furry in the JFK movie.
Yeah, Joe Pesci played him.
Joe Pesci played him.
That's right, yeah.
And she was told, listen, basically, you gotta keep the head down, go away, and we don't want to never hear from you again, kind of thing.
So this is the story she's going to be bringing to the conference. I mean, that's going to be riveting listening to her.
It's an amazing story. So basically, she went into hiding for many years in fear of her life because with all these JFK, anyone associated with the JFK assassination in terms of a whistleblower was being knocked off left, right,
yeah, true enough. There was an awful lot of people knocked off. Trevor, I need to go to a set of ads. Do you mind hanging on for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, perfect, no bother.
Right, folks, be back in 2 minutes with Trevor Eivers. Talk to you very shortly. Now, folks, you're very welcome back. Trevor, you're still with me, aren't you? Oh, that's grand, that's grand.
You hear me?
I can indeed, yes. Now, we finished just up there before the break. We were talking about Judith the Fairy Bakers. Now, she's as you said, the ex-mistress of Lee Harvey Oswald, so she's got quite a fascinating story to tell. Now, someone else that's going to have a fascinating speech to give, I suppose, is a guy I've had on my show, Mark Devlin, and what he's actually talking about, because most people go around listening to music every day on the radio, watching music videos on MTV and wherever else. And what they don't realise is that there's an awful lot of symbolism in music videos. Now, I can see it. I won't watch them now because it's the same at movies. It's everywhere. You can see stuff in the background and all, and you know why it's put there. But most people walk around oblivious, not realising that music is controlled, and very deeply controlled at that, by very malevolent forces. And that's what Mark is going to be talking about, isn't that right?
That's right. That's right. He's an amazing subject. Again, if anyone's interested, they can go onto the Open Minds Ireland Conference Facebook page, where actually earlier on today we put up a special feature on Mark Devlin.
Yeah, I think I've lost you there, Trevor.
People's minds. He's an amazing guy.
Right, I think I lost you there for a second, Trevor. You were saying there about Mark Devlin?
Yeah, Mark Devlin, he's an amazing guy, and he's going to blow people's minds at the conference. If people are interested, I don't know if you heard, I just said that we're doing a special feature series on our Facebook page.
On each of the guests. I was seeing that post that you put up today about Mark Devlin.
Yeah, we've done one of Mark Devlin there today as well. And we basically gone through the kind of stuff that he's going to be talking about. And it's amazing.
I mean, when I interviewed Mark, as I said, I only had Mark on for I'm getting some feedback there, Trevor. I don't know if there's a speaker on in your room or something like that. I think it's gone now. I interviewed Mark, and we spoke briefly about a few different subjects in relation to the music industry. But one of the big things for me, anyway, in relation to what's gone on in music over the last 60 or 70 years, is the fact that they've changed the frequency of music on how music is recorded. Music used to be recorded at 432 hertz, which is the natural rhythm of music, and they upscaled it to 440 hertz, which has like a more of a negative effect on the listener. And you look around the world over the last 50 years and the misery that's gone on, and the kind of music that people have been forced to listen to. Isn't it no wonder everybody's gone mental?
Yeah, it's some type of stuff he talks about. I mean, he talks about the manipulation and control of the music industry by covert and occult forces, and how that's been going on since the 60s. As you know, he's been on your show. He's basically brought to light, uncovered a lot of information about probably the most famous bands in the world, like the Beatles and the Stones, and how they were products of the Tavistock Mind Control Institute.
So I remember years ago I was talking to a fella, now I'm going back 15 years ago, And John Lennon came into the conversation, and I was lauding John Lennon because I'm a fan of John Lennon. I like John Lennon's music, and I still like John Lennon's music. I've nothing against his music, but he was telling me, he said, have you ever listened to Imagine? I said, of course I have. I said, I've listened to it lots of times. He says, do you know what the song is really all about? And I said, no. He says, it's a New World Order song. I said, how is it? He says, listen to the lyrics and listen very closely. And it is, if you listen to the lyrics closely, it's imagine there's no such thing as countries and stuff like that. You know, no nations, just one world. That's what the song is about. And it's a great song, don't get me wrong. But he was saying to me at the time, he says, look, if you think you knew John Lennon or you know anything about him, you don't. He said, John Lennon, he puts himself out as this, this humanitarian who cares for the planet and cares for animals and stuff like that. He says when he was living in New York, in a hotel in New York, he had one floor of the hotel exclusively kept free just for all the fur coats that he owned. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but it was something I heard. You know, and, you know, at the time I didn't believe it. Like I said to my friend at the time, I said, look, will you stop? I said, that's bullshit. I said, you know, it's probably just folklore. But as I've gone on over the years and learned about the occult side of the music industry, it makes a lot of sense now that John Lennon probably was like that.
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, he definitely was at some point, but, you know, I think he changed. Personally, I think he's changed. I mean, and some of the stuff that he was coming out with in the 70s.
Yeah, I think that's what got him killed as well.
Definitely anti-establishment, yeah. And I think, like, there's a lot of evidence to show that Mark Chapman was an MK Ultra assassin.
Yeah, because when he was questioned about that assassination, he said he doesn't remember doing it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you look at some of the stuff John Lennon has come out with, not only Imagine, songs like Give Me Some Truth, you know, Power to the People. Like, these are really, really great songs. I think, like, even with the Beatles he wrote, if you look at the lyrics to Revolution, you know the song Revolution? You know, they're really fantastic, way ahead of his time. So I think, like, he definitely was awake to the bigger picture. If you look at some stuff on YouTube about, like, there's actually a clip, I don't know if you've seen it, of him talking about government and what's the point, and they're all insane. I don't know if you've ever seen that clip.
I did. It's the one where he says we're being ruled by maniacs for maniacal reasons, and if you speak out about that, they call you a maniac. I think it was something like that, or they call you insane or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's going to be a very interesting subject with Mark Devlin. Now, moving on then, you've got Hilary Connor then and Gemma Hughes. They're going to be talking about, Hilary talking about the spiritual side of things, and then Gemma's going to be talking about, you know, the healing side of things, how you could, you know, live healthier lifestyles and stuff like that.
Yeah, just on that, I mean, the way we actually have scheduled the Saturday and the Sunday, like, we start off each day with a really empowering, uplifting speaker. Like, they're all great, they're all uplifting, but in particular we're starting off with Ubuntu Ireland. Like, Ubuntu Ireland have, like, you know, solutions, and don't know if you've heard of Michael Tellinger. Tellinger's come up with this this group, and Ubuntu Ireland are spreading the message of it across Ireland. A lot of their goals are, like, getting rid of money completely, and so on.
And
like,
in favour of what though?
Well,
you know, I mean, I've often advocated on my show, as you well know. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Ubuntu, but I've advocated on my show that one of the most dangerous things we can do as a species is allow the banks to make money digital and nothing else. Whereas if you get rid of cash, you know, that's it. It's game over.
Money as such that they want to get rid of, but it's more of the corrupt banking system in terms of the lending money and charging interest on it that never exists. You know, creating money out of nothing. That system that has us all enslaved, of course. But I mean, I don't really, to be honest with you, I only know a little bit about myself, and that's why I can't wait for some of these speakers, because I'm going to be...
You're going to be learning yourself, I suppose.
I'm going to be learning myself, exactly. Yeah. So when it comes to that, I mean, they're starting off. I mean, Hilary Connor is finishing up. You mentioned Hilary. Hilary's brilliant.
That's Hilary's birthday today as well, by the way, so if she's listening, happy birthday to you.
That's right, happy birthday, Hilary. But Hilary's brilliant. She's going to be ending day one on the Saturday. And she's a wonderful, uplifting speaker, and she's a lot of solutions on how we can change ourselves and change the world around us. And then on the Sunday, Tom Ryan is kicking it off. Now he's going to talk about personal sovereignty again, a very empowering subject. And later on that day, we're finishing with two again powerful speakers on a positive. Gemma Hughes, as you mentioned, talking about health and healing, her specialist areas the healing power of herbs, which is a fascinating subject. And we're going to end then with another great guy, Mark Bajerski, one of the most positive guys.
Now, I've had Mark on my show before. I meant to mention him earlier on. And
that's right. And actually, that interview you had with him, that Mark Bajerski, excuse me, I keep getting his name wrong, but was one of the best interviews I've ever heard. Like, it was a really emotional and brilliant interview.
I enjoyed it now, and I did started to get a little bit, I suppose, personal and I tried to keep my own personality off the airwaves completely, because I find it a little bit unprofessional. But some people like that as well, because I suppose it shows your human side. But
yeah,
you know,
I thought it was brilliant. I mean, like that interview, and I want to thank you, Mick, for all your help and support regards the conference.
Well, listen, the only reason I help you and that I enjoy getting you on the show from time to time and, you know, promoting what you're doing is because I think it's very worthwhile what you're doing. It's a very worthwhile effort, and I think if more and more people were doing what you were doing, you know, we'd turn this country around and the world as a whole very, very quickly. Whereas if people just keep sitting back and not doing anything, just complaining about the system, it's not going to change the system. Well, but you're doing positive steps in the right direction.
Exactly, and just bringing it back as well to, I mean, the amount of work that we put into this to organise it from last September. Like, we launched it on the 11th of November, and we've been plugging it, and we've done everything to get it out there. We really have made a monumental effort. Now, even we didn't know, like, what needed to go into an event like this, because obviously we're a bit naive in terms of this is our first event to organise.
Well, look, you'll be organising weddings to beat the band next.
Yeah, you never know.
You've learned your craft now, you really have.
Yeah, well, we did have a lot of advice from Ian O'Crane and Mark Devlin, who are either involved in organising events like this or attended events like this and have had a fair idea in what we needed to do, and they gave us great advice, you know. But and people don't realise what goes into it in terms of the financial side. You know, that, look, a hotel has to be paid for, you know, merchandise, flyers, pop-up stands, programs, website, you know, pay for the speakers to come over. Like, 5 of them are coming from overseas, so they're obviously travelling accommodation, need to be looked after. Also, public liability insurance. You know, there's so many things popped up, and basically, like, that's why, just going back to, you asked me about the price, I didn't answer that originally, is that, you know, we needed to set the price at a certain price to break even, to be honest.
Well, I think for the amount of speakers that you have,
the
event is practically free for anybody that's going. That's how I would look at it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying less than €6 to listen to each speaker.
Yeah.
You know, and you won't get that kind of value anywhere else. I mean, you go to see David Icke, you went to see him yourself. I don't know what you paid for your ticket, but it's upwards to €50 maybe for a ticket to see David Icke. And he's one man. And don't get me wrong, I'd imagine he does a good show for 10 hours. But you've got 12 separate people, 12 different subjects, very important subjects. And you're getting that for less than...
I mean, if you look at similar events like Ian's event, the AV conferences, there's also the Glastonbury Symposium is a similar type event as well. Like, Mark Devlin spoke at that last year. Yeah. You've also an event in the States, in Philadelphia, coming up in April, the Free Your Mind conference. And
then you've the AV8s and AV7 conferences as well.
Yeah, but if you look at the prices of each, it's all, like, I mean, double what we're charging.
Yeah.
So we try to keep it reasonable, but at the same time, like, we're looking to, like, this is for a non-profit event. And look, we're looking to break even. And the whole idea of the event is that we're looking to do something for the bigger picture, for the greater good. And bring people together as well. I mean, just go back in the 3 main reasons for it. And people are going to have a fantastic time, because not only are you going to get all this wonderful conscious knowledge, but you're going to be able to connect with like-minded people.
That's the thing, and exchange details and numbers and whatnot.
It's an experience, and it's the energy. Imagine the energy in that room when, like, you're going to have a couple of hundred people this Saturday and Sunday, and it's going to be electric, you know. And it's I think it's going to be great. Like, we're all informing ourselves over the weekend, and that's great. but you're going to be leaving it uplifted. You're going to be leaving it going, well, that was...
And should you be having the crack as well? And that's the main thing.
Having the crack as well. I mean, we have those conspiracy guys, and I forgot to mention them.
Yeah, they're going to be there too, so they're quite interesting.
They're a satire act, and even though that, like, they cover a lot of topics in their podcast to do with conspiracies,
they give you the ability to laugh at it too.
Exactly, it's a light-hearted view. You know, it's a little bit like Waterford Whispered News.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever came across
I do, I love it. One of my favourite websites.
So yeah, I mean, but that is, if you look into the history of the conspiracy movement, like, you know, you have your Bill Hicks and your George Carlins, and like, some humour is wonderful.
Humour's the best healer. It is. It's a great healer. Laughter. Trevor, listen, I have come up to the end of the show, unfortunately, so we are out of time. The event is this Saturday, so if you want to go to the event, folks, you can get your tickets through Eventbrite. You can go on to the Awaken Awareness South East Ireland Facebook page, and we go on to the World You Don't Know page as well. There's links everywhere on Facebook to get tickets to it. It's in Dooley's Hotel in Waterford, and it's this Saturday and Sunday. More than welcome, Trevor. You're more than welcome.
Thanks very much.
And listen, I look forward to meeting you.
And you too, mate.
All right, talk to you very soon. You take care.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Thanks, bye-bye. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's Trevor Eivers, and as I said, this event takes place this Saturday and Sunday. Tickets are in around the €50 mark. They're well worth the money. Anyway, folks, this has been The World You Don't Know. And remember, the world is full of great people. If you can't find one, be one. Talk to us all very soon.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to secret oaths,